The Unhappy Hour on the new AmericanMedia.com.
Yeah.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific. Hello everybody and welcome to a very special episode of The Unhappy Hour here on the TNAM Radio Network. My name is Brian and you have joined us on the day when all of the March Madness fans pretty much start going mad. Well, the brackets have been released and it's time to pick your teams in the office pool. Kentucky, 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 Kentucky. Let's see how many times we can do the show without saying Kentucky. We shall see. I mean, they've earned it. They're playing pretty well. So I'll tell you what, we're going to bring in Zak Baris, lifelong Cleveland sports fan, former NBA scout, current NBA consultant to the program. But real quick, if you haven't checked out our homepage, it's thenewamericanmedia.com. On the right-hand side, there's three things we want you to do. One, it's TNAM radio button. You click play, you listen live. That's how you check out the show live. Twitter and Facebook are also out there on the right-hand side of the homepage. We want you to follow us on Twitter. We're at American_media_. You can click it right there. And also Facebook. You can do a search for The New American Media with spaces in between and like the page, or you can click it off of our homepage. And please subscribe, youtube.com/The New American Media. Definitely have some pretty interesting interviews. There seems to be a theme running through our recent interviews. Laura Eisenhower, great-granddaughter of President Eisenhower, talking about exopolitics and aliens, and I spoke with Jim Mars at the Conscious Life Expo, talking about aliens and exopolitics. Interesting stuff. Definitely check those videos out and leave your comments on youtube.com/The New American Media. Click subscribe, leave your comments there. We always appreciate it. And when those little ads pop up on the videos, leave them there, you know. Click on them. Go visit the sponsor, because you know what? I think we get a penny when you do that. And when you multiply it out times 10,000 views, 100,000 views, it helps us pay our overhead. So short of having a fundraiser, some sort of drive, some sort of Bitcoin donation thing, it's the one little thing you can do to help us out over here at the TNAM Radio Network. So we're going to help you out, help you fill out your bracket, that is, by going to Zak right about now. Oh, you know what? Actually, here, let's give this a shot. See if this works. Oh, actually, you know what? It's not going to work. Okay. It's a long story, and I'm not going to bore you. I'm not going to bore you with it. However, well, okay. You know what? I am going to bore you with it, because I got to explain it while I reset the show here. Okay, basically there are two different browsers. One is Firefox, one is, what is this one? That's Google. Okay? And when you're signed into your YouTube channel, it won't let you sign into a Google Voice. And if you happen to use the Google Voice to make your phone calls, then you're going to be signed into one account but not the other, and it's not going to let you sign back into that one so that you can make your phone calls. So when you can't make your phone calls, you got to start from scratch. So let's see. Okay, sign in. Here we go. What do I sign in as? Yep, that's the thing. And how about this? Yeah, I know. If I had a producer and an engineer, all this stuff would be taken care of. However, I don't. I'm a one-man show, don't you know? With a lot of help from Chris and Ted and Sean and other people close to me, of course. Amanda. There are people that assist. I certainly do not do all this on my own. But on the radio, pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much just me. Now, I have logged out and logged back in. You didn't need to know any of that except for, let's get Zak into the show. All things considered, that did not take all that long.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Oh, doing well, Zak. I just had a fun technical glitch. I had to completely log out and log back in. I won't bore you with the details, but other than that, I'm doing great. Doing great. Other than, actually, you know what? Other than watching the Cleveland Cavaliers play miserably without Kevin Love again.
It's one loss. Let Miami enjoy their fun for one night. They're still not even in the playoffs.
I know. Playoffs? Talk about playoffs? Kidding me? I just hope we can win a game. But really, it shows when Kevin Love's not in there. This team plays very differently. We do not know how to play good ball. Yep. as I was watching it, I'm going, okay, Love's not here. Okay, Zach told me. Zach warned me. But hey, I'll tell you what, we're not here to talk Cavaliers basketball, fortunately, because that was pretty miserable to watch. We're here to talk about the tournament. All of the seedings have been announced, and I'll just get right to it. Out of the 4 top seeds, who do you think has the best chance to win it all? Maryland, South Carolina, Notre Dame, or UConn?
Are you talking about the women's tournament?
Of course. Is there anything else? Is there any other tournament I'm supposed to talk about?
UConn didn't even make the tournament.
How much? Let me ask you though. How much do you follow women's college basketball?
0%. All I know is UConn's perennially the #1 team in the country. That's all I know.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I know.
And I still don't care. The only reason I know is because of SportsCenter.
I liked the long pause there. You're like, hold on, that's women's, right? Yeah, okay. No, I'm sorry. Greg kind of put me up to that one. He said, hey, get his take on the women's bracket. I'm like, man, I don't know.
I'd hang up the phone if you asked me that again.
Okay. Now, I started the show off saying, how many times could I possibly say Kentucky? Kentucky, Kentucky, Kentucky. Let's talk about them right off the bat. Undefeated, obviously having a hell of a season. What percentage of a chance would you give them to win it all versus some dark horse, some underdog to actually knock them out? How much of a sure thing is this one?
You know, the thing is, if you actually go and look at it right now, if you go and just look at through advanced numbers, I was just plugging it in, playing around with numbers. It's actually kind of funny because it would show here that Arizona would actually have a 51% chance to beat Kentucky if they face each other in the Final Four.
Really?
So,
and that's your team. That's where you went to school.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Arizona would actually, according to this, I've been looking at a couple different predictions, but according to what I'm looking at right now, Arizona would have a 54% chance of winning. I saw another one where they were at 51%. Of beating Kentucky.
See, I'm looking at their overall rankings over here. They're 40th in field goal percentage, 42nd in assists per game.
You have to take up matchups in this one, and you have to look at what. Here's the thing: you have to go and take a look at the roster of Arizona. You have to look at Arizona's roster specifically. And when you do that, when you've got Stanley Johnson, you've got Brandon Ashley, T.J. McConnell, Caleb Tarsuski, you've got guys that can go against Kentucky and compete. You've got Stanley Johnson, who's going to be a top 10 pick. You have Caleb Tarsuski, who's decent chance he'll be a first rounder. Brandon Ashley probably be a first rounder. You've got a lot of guys on that team who can hang there with Kentucky. It's not out of the realm of possibilities for Arizona to beat Kentucky. I've been saying it all along. I'm not saying this is a homer. For one team that can beat Kentucky all year would be the Arizona Wildcats.
That team has the best chance to knock them out. You're saying?
Yes. Because they're loaded with NBA talent and they're comparable to Kentucky. They're not just a good college team. They're loaded up with talent.
So talk about the road that Arizona's going to have in the bracket. You want to start off in the West and kind of...
Yeah, we can do that.
All right.
So basically, I've got my bracket up here. So this is what I've predicted so far. So I've got Wisconsin beating Coastal Carolina. I've got Oregon beating Oklahoma State. Arkansas winning in the first round. I've got Harvard upsetting North Carolina, even though I'm not so sure about that, but that was what I predicted. I'm probably wrong on that. But I've got Xavier against Baylor. I've got Xavier winning. I've got Baylor winning. I've got Ohio State beating VCU only because I want to see the rematch of Ohio State versus Arizona.
Oh, that's right. That was last year, huh?
Yet I have Arizona beating Ohio State probably by 30 points. Then I have Xavier beating Baylor. I've got Arkansas beating Harvard and Wisconsin beating Oregon. Then I have Wisconsin beating Arkansas and Arizona beating Xavier. And Arizona, I got to take the rematch from last year, which they blew it at the end. I'm going to take Arizona over Wisconsin. Arizona didn't have Brandon Ashley last year going into the tournament. They would have won the tournament probably last year if they had a healthy Ashley before he broke his foot.
And Wisconsin wasn't impressive enough over Spartans?
They were good, yeah, but I'm like I said, I'm taking Arizona. They're healthy this year. Brandon Ashley, Arizona would have probably won the whole thing last year if they were healthy, but Ashley got injured and broke his foot before the tournament. And he don't forget, he was Pac-12 Player of the Year last year. So I'm gonna go with that. So let's go up to Kentucky, to the Midwest. So I've got Kentucky winning. I've got Cincinnati beating Purdue. I've got Buffalo upsetting West Virginia. I've got Maryland beating Valparaiso. I've got Texas beating Butler, Notre Dame winning. I've got Wichita State beating Indiana. I've got Kansas winning. I've got Kansas against Tech. I've got Texas beating Notre Dame. I've got Kansas beating Wichita State. I've got Maryland beating Buffalo. And I've got Kentucky, of course, beating Cincinnati. So then I've got Kentucky beating Maryland. And I've got Kansas beating Texas. And then, of course, I have Kentucky beating Kansas. Now let's dip over to the South. I've got Duke. I've got St. John's over San Diego State in a slight upset. Utah over Stephen F. Austin. I've got Georgetown losing. So to Eastern Washington. So I just because Georgetown always seems to bite it in the tournament every year. I've got UCLA beating SMU.
When was the last time Georgetown was clutch? Back at Patrick Ewing?
Never. Since when Patrick Ewing was there.
30 years ago?
I've got Iowa State beating UAB. I've got Davidson beating Iowa, and I've got Gonzaga going on. Then I've got Duke beating St. John's, Utah beating Eastern Washington, Iowa State beating UCLA, and Gonzaga beating Davidson. Then I've got Iowa State beating Gonzaga, Duke beating Utah, and Iowa State beating Duke.
Beating Duke, that they're not going to win it.
Yep.
So how strong do you think they are then? Can they compete for a title coming out of the South?
I think Duke. Who are you saying? Duke?
No.
Who did you just say?
You had Gonzaga beating Duke, right?
No. I had Iowa State beating Gonzaga. I had Iowa State beating Duke.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad.
I like Iowa State. They've been very good lately. I really like them.
Okay, yeah. I mean, a 3 seed coming out. That is pretty impressive. What do you like about Iowa State so much?
You know what? The fact that they've been. You know, the thing is, what's wrong with Iowa State? I was just say the one issue is they've been getting crushed in the first half of games. Every game in the Big 12 tournament, they were losing by 10 points or more in every single game. They came back and won. Just shows resiliency and that they can come back. That's what I like about them. They're a good competitive basketball team. I really like what I saw out of Iowa State. Now, coming out of the East, I got Villanova. I got LSU beating NC State. Wyoming with the upset. Oh, I just screwed up my whole bracket. Hold on.
Well, a 12 seed beating a 5 seed usually screws up a bracket.
Screwed up my whole bracket. I've got Wyoming with the upset in the first round. I've got Louisville beating UCI. I've got Providence. I've got Dayton beating Providence in the first round, and Dayton going on. Hold on, and then I've got Oklahoma beating I've got Oklahoma winning. I've got Michigan State over Georgia, and I've got UVA over Belmont. Then I've got Villanova versus LSU. I've got Villanova moving on. I've got Louisville beating Wyoming. I've got Dayton beating Oklahoma, and I've got Virginia beating MSU. Then I've got Virginia beating Dayton, and then I have Then I have Louisville against Virginia, and I've got Virginia beating Louisville in the Final Four.
Virginia beating Louisville.
I took Louisville over Villanova. I meant to say that. I took Louisville over Villanova, and I had Louisville in Virginia in the Elite Eight. I'm taking Virginia in the Final Four.
Virginia, all right.
I really like Virginia.
What do you like about them? What makes them so strong?
They're deep. Tony Bennett's been a fantastic coach. Tony Bennett's been fantastic this year. He did an unbelievable job. I'll never forget my freshman year when he was at Washington State and he took that team, really, really far. He's just an unbelievable coach. I really like what Virginia's done this year. They're great on defense too. I just love watching Virginia.
So that leaves us where? We got Virginia, Arizona, Kentucky, and Iowa State.
And Iowa State.
All right.
I could be completely wrong. Odds are I am, but
well, I mean, that's the beauty of the tournament. I mean, everybody gets a chance to go through, and there's usually upsets, and that messes with everything. But out of this Final Four, who do you like? Call it. Arizona in the upset?
Who do you think I picked? I picked Arizona.
I think you picked Arizona, and I think
I'm picking Arizona 73-69. Even though I have a feeling it's going to be Kentucky, but I got to go with my school.
All right. 4-point win. All right. Did you happen to have a chance? I know I talked with you offline. Did you happen to have a chance to see that thing with John Oliver talking about NCAA?
I haven't had a chance to see it yet. I was busy over the last. That's why I couldn't talk to you until now. I just was busy.
Yeah.
So I will get to watch it.
Yes, it's very interesting. I'd be very curious to get your thoughts on it. It's good. I don't know how else to say it. It's good. Just the absurdity of the billions that are brought in from college sports. Once again, then, I mean, as we talk about tournament time and everything's sponsored and there's so much money rolling in, do you think athletes in college should be compensated in some way financially?
In some way. I'm not saying I don't think they should be paid $1 million salaries. I really don't, because small schools wouldn't be able to compete anymore.
Okay, but you could see some sort of something.
Yeah. I don't mind them getting a car allowance, or I mean, I'm not talking for a Bentley, but getting a significant car allowance, getting to because I mean, like I said, they're already getting a college education, which is great. But a lot of these kids that are making their schools so much money deserve something. I don't know what the proper compensation would be, but I mean, deserve something more than they're getting. I think they should be able to sign autographs, let them do what they need to do. I mean, maybe along those terms, or be able to sell their own memorabilia. It's their stuff. They should be able to do what they want with it.
Yeah, the Buckeyes were trounced for that one.
Well, here's the issue, though. This is what they're getting at: is that there's a player, from a school. Let's just say Terrell Pryor again, and some guy goes, "Listen, I'll give you $1 million for your pants." It's not really going to be the $1 million for your pants. It's going to be $1 million for you playing at Ohio State. That's what they're trying to discourage. That's why they don't want it happening, because their players being overcompensated for something they're selling. That's what you have to take a look at. Not that he just sell a ring for $500 or $2,000. So the guy pay him $1 million to do it, so he would go to Ohio State.
A booster would raise a bunch of money,
yes.
and when he's being recruited, be like, hey, check out what happened to Eddie George. Yeah, I'm just throwing names out there. Not that this has happened. And not that I'm so foolish as to think that it hasn't happened either. However, it would be, hey, look at how XYZ player was compensated. Look at that. See when someone bought his shoulder pads or his game jersey for $700,000? Yeah, we'll do that for you. You just got to go here first. And as long as you're the starter, look, this is what happens. So you're saying you get paid on the back end for the commitment.
Yes, that's the issue. I mean, that's where the problem lies. Unless it's going through an auction house and it's being appraised, I think that would be the only fair way to do it. I mean, it touches such a fine line. It's a subject that I never love talking about, because it touches such a fine line, and you can come in the argument from any side you want. That's the thing. You can come in from any. I can come into an argument 4 different ways and come at this from each different point and say, listen, well, he deserves this. Well, why doesn't why shouldn't he be entitled to it? He can do whatever he wants. He's 18, he's 19 years old, he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what's fair? That's the NCAA has a bunch of ridiculous rules, I will say that. I don't think the NCAA is perfect. Far from it.
Good. I would hang up on you if you said that they're perfect. That's ridiculous.
They're perfect, Ryan.
That's it. Goodbye. Click. No, it is a slippery slope, but yeah, I'm very curious. So here's your homework, Zach. Check out John Oliver, who does really great stuff. I loved when he filled in for Jon Stewart, and now he's doing that Last Week Tonight or whatever that show's called. I think it's on HBO. It's a really good rant. It's a really good rant. Kind of becoming a really big fan of that guy. So check it out. I'll pick your brain on it afterward. Just something as a scatter shot, and we'll let you get going here. What do you make of this guy, Chris Borland, first-year player out on the 49ers? He's retiring at 24 years old, concerned about the long-term effects of repetitive head trauma, or CTEs. I mean, this guy was actually kind of a stud. He came on and led the 49ers in tackles, missed a couple games, wasn't a starter till like game 6 or 7 or something. And he's just quitting the game. He just doesn't even want to risk it. I mean, do you have any thoughts? I mean, you've lived in the basketball world, but what do you make of this guy at 24 just hanging it up saying, nah, I'm good? All right, do I still have you? Lost him. Well, I'll tell you what I think about it. Oh, it's very interesting. I didn't play football until the age of 24. I played till I was 18. I don't know. I don't know. This guy was a third-round draft pick. It's not like he has a few million in the bank. Whew. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting stories. Pete Rose petitioning to kind of get back into baseball in whatever capacity. We'll see with the new Major League Baseball commissioner. And I don't know. I mean, 24 years old, just quitting the game and worried about concussions. I don't know if that's a horrible thing. Nah, let's see if that was his phone. If his battery died or something.
Hello?
Oh, hey, what's up?
Back.
Yeah. No, I was just going on a scattershot. I was just asking what your thoughts were, because you're definitely doing basketball. But this San Francisco player, Borland, quitting over safety issues with concussions at 24.
I can't. I've been reading about it all night. I can't sit here and fault the guy. I mean, here's the thing: can live prosperous with a lot of money, or you can sit there and be able to live until your 80s or your 90s now, being sane. It's a tough road to follow. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and fault him for it. I'm really not. I think he got to live out his dream. He got to play in the NFL with the 49ers for a year. He was a very good player, too. But you can't sit there and bash the guy. The guy made a decision, and you say, listen, I don't want to be a cripple when I'm 45 years old and barely walk because my knees are, I've blown out both of my knees. I have massive head trauma. I mean, look at a guy like Troy Aikman, who's had numerous concussions over his career. Do you think he's going to be all right when he's 75, 80? Probably not. I mean, hopefully, yeah. But a lot of these guys suffer significant health problems when they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. They don't make it to the ripe old age of 80 or 90.
Yeah, Junior Seau, it's always hard to figure out what happens when someone takes their own life. But,
look at Junior Seau. I mean, it's sad as can be. Do you think if he could go over and do it all over again, he saw himself as at USC, and after that first year at the church, they said, listen, this is going to be you. But seriously, say, listen, you can either retire from football now, you're going to live until your 80s, you have a good, happy life with a good family, or this is going to be you leaving your family behind by shooting yourself in the chest. Looking back at it, I'm sure his family would have rather had him retire from football.
Yeah.
After 1 year. That's what you have to think about it. These guys who are committing suicide or who are just depressed as can be, when they're in their 40s because they have nothing left. I mean, it's definitely something to think about.
I mean, what a crazy offseason for the 49ers.
Nothing
has gone right.
Retiring at 30.
I know.
One of the game's top linebackers.
Everything about this offseason from these guys has just been incredible. From Frank Gore to Harbaugh to... Yeah, it's really tough to believe.
The Browns did upgrade the defensive backfield today. I will give them that.
All right, give us what do you make of?
Tramon Williams is an upgrade over Buster Screen.
Yeah, I shared the analytics.
According to Pro Football Focus, Screen was the 84th rated corner, or the 82nd rated corner, or something like that. Tramon Williams was the 34th, which would mean he'd be, he'd be a very, very good number 2 corner on most teams.
And so he's going to be in the defensive backfield with, let's see, Dante Whitner, Joe Hayden.
Starks is nice too. But like I said, the issue still lies. You do not have a quarterback.
Yeah. I still think we're going to get Sam Bradford. I think we're going to do something to swap.
This is what I can, as far as I know, I can't even comment on it yet. So I can tell you.
All right, then give us something short of something.
Johnny related.
Good or bad?
I don't really know what to think of it. I'll tell you after this phone conversation exactly what it is.
I've been hearing that he's taken the season off, whatever that means.
I tend to think the same thing for one specific reason, but like I said, I'm not going to say it over the phone right now.
Okay, and we've discussed in the past that you have that well, not to say there's a connection there, but there's a connection there. So, all right, fine.
I'm texting you right now, so just check it out.
Oh, so do I need to drag this conversation? Oh, here we go. I'll drag the conversation out so that I can read. I didn't hang. You said you hung up. I didn't hang up. You hung up.
I didn't hang up.
Oh, whoa! That could okay. Well, what you're telling me, this is funny. We're texting it. here's what radio is in 2015. It's done over the internet, see, and they text each other, and the listeners don't know what they're saying.
Did you get them both?
Yeah. And then you. Okay, interesting.
Yep.
Moving on up. Okay, so if what you're hearing is true, that might be a really good thing if he's got his act together.
I hope so, but it also could mean one other thing. So it's either meaning one or the other. It's either really good or it could be really bad. I just don't know what it is yet.
All right, well then we'll keep our eyes peeled on it. I mean, he's laid real low since the end of the season, obviously.
Real low, and let's put it this way: I have not. As most of the listeners know, I live in the same building as him.
Yeah.
I used to run into him all the time. I have not seen him once. I have not seen his roommate once.
And I'll say this, and I've said it before. If there's one horrible location for J.R. Smith and or Johnny Manziel to live, it would be your place.
Yes.
I mean, for people that don't know, like it's kind of like
there's just too much going on.
Oh, the downstairs bar with what the hell's the name of that place with the
Vault? I hate the place personally.
Vault.
I used to like it. I just don't love it.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I was there, and within 30 minutes there was a rumble broke out right next to me. I had to like push people out of the way. All right, like I don't like being in places that are instantly
There's too much going on there sometimes.
Meatheady, but yeah, it's not a boring place. Let's just say that, not a boring place.
No, definitely not. It's always lively. There's always something going on here.
Yeah, I want Johnny just in studying being boring, being very boring, like Peyton Manning or somebody. Just work on your craft.
Well, I heard he's going to be roommates with Scott Disick now in rehab. So
hold on, with who?
Kourtney Kardashian's husband. He went to rehab today. I was reading, so I was just making a joke.
Oh, jeez.
He's like the biggest party animal out there.
That's good. Oh, man. Yeah, the TMZ factor definitely went through the roof when Johnny Manziel came into the NFL, and hopefully we can get back to talking about him on the field. We'll see what happens. They're trying to sign.
I'd like to see him on the field, but I just, like I said, I hope for the best. But as a Browns fan, you have to know it's not.
All right.
He's probably going to suck.
Well, okay, then I guess it's probably smart that we just write off the draft pick from last year. It's like, if we get something out of it, call it a bonus. If
I
not,
still believe in Justin Gilbert. I just don't think Johnny's arm, when I saw it, just doesn't get the second read, doesn't get the third read. But that's beside the point. Getting back to the Chris Borland thing is, I think it's I honestly think it's a good thing. I don't think it's good for the talent, but you have these guys realizing the effects after football. I mean, look at these guys from the 70s. I mean, you have these guys in lawsuits, these guys that can barely walk. They say, if I could do it all over again, I would have never played.
And I only played till I was 18. So, I mean, I definitely played in a lot of football games and a lot of practices and made a lot of tackles in my day. But I only played till I was 18. I didn't have an extra decade doing it through college, let alone in the big leagues. I don't know. It never, when I played, it never really felt like it was all that dangerous. I knew it was, and I rolled my ankle. That was kind of the most severe injury that I had. It was really bad, actually. But I don't know. It seemed more dangerous to stand in there against like a 90-mile-an-hour fastball being thrown at my face.
Yeah, I broke multiple. Back when I was in elementary school and middle school and stuff, I broke fingers playing baseball. It's painful.
Yep. I I would much rather line up against somebody 285 pounds than.
Yeah, I'd much rather have J.J. Watt come after me than take a 90-mile-an-hour fastball to the back. No, I would much rather take a 90-mile-an-hour fastball to the back than have J.J. Watt hit me.
Well, I didn't play offense, so J.J. Watt wouldn't have been coming. I played defense, so I guess, I don't know, going up against Joe Thomas.
Imagine Bo Jackson coming up against you. You know?
Oh, I'll tell you what, Canton McKinley had a
Marshawn
fullback.
Lynch.
Canton McKinley had a fullback. I don't even know his name, but I call him the Cannonball. After that game was over, my helmet was just one big stick mark.
I
kid.
was very fortunate. My freshman year of college, it was Arizona versus Cal. It was the homecoming game. I was working as a visiting team's equipment staff manager my freshman year, and I'm on the field, and I'm on the visiting team sidelines while I'm standing at about, I don't know, anywhere between the 10 and the 25-yard line. And, you know, I'm sitting, like, literally probably about 4 feet off the field, 5 feet off the field, right behind one of the little, like, you know, like, one of the little plastic barriers, like the marketing strip that said, like, Arizona Athletics or Nike, whatever it said.
Yeah.
And I was smart enough to see that Marshawn Lynch is coming down the field, about to get smashed by Antoine Cason, who was a first-round pick by the Chargers. And I jumped out of the way. You know, I saw it coming. It wasn't stupid enough, you know. And a girl next to me, poor girl on the sidelines, got smashed on the play. I mean, she got taken out under the asphalt. And I was like, oh, that had to hurt. You know, I mean, look how big of a guy Marshawn Lynch is.
Yeah, those can be brutal. I see cameramen, I see assistant coaches. There was something, where the hell was that? Did you see where that woman got smashed in the face? A basketball went flying in the stand. She was looking at her cell phone. It was this week. Who were they playing? It was like the Nets or something.
It was like the other day. Yeah, I mean, here, I have another incident, too. During the Hall of Fame game when it was Eagles-Raiders back in 2006, I'll never forget, Sebastian Janikowski was kicking field goals from 60 yards away, and at Canton McKinley, you know, not Canton McKinley, that fought, you know, at the stadium down over at the Hall of Fame.
Paul Brown.
You know, yeah, Paul Brown Stadium. It's not that big of a stadium, you know, and the woman in the blue, she's like, kick me the ball. One of the things is she got hit in the head, and me and my buddy just looked at each other. It was a great sports center home. We just go, we both go, she got jacked up. You know, they damn sports center.
You got to pay attention. You got to pay attention.
The lady got clobbered, and then at the end last year, I was on the field for Ohio State, Wisconsin, at Ohio State a year ago, and I saw a guy holding up a satellite and just got taken out on a play. Or no, it wasn't a guy holding up a satellite. It was actually a guy sitting in a chair. You're not allowed to sit on chairs on the sidelines that close because of what can happen. And the guy got taken out from under him and got knocked on his ass 10 feet backwards. That was what happened. He was a cameraman, and he had a camera, and he was sitting down. You're not supposed to have a fold-up chair. Basically like one of the camping chairs, and just got clobbered. Got taken out.
Hey, speaking about getting clobbered, they remind me of Ray Fosse, way back in the day.
Oh, Pete Rose.
Yeah, because I have this one pulled up as another big story. Ray Fosse. He
was never the same after that.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Obviously didn't live it. It was I think it was the 1970 All-Star game in Cleveland.
Cleveland Indians representing the Cleveland Indians in the All-Star game. Yeah.
And
Pete
he
Rose.
got clobbered. You know, he was never the same after that. So, you know, he was an all-star catcher. He was never the same after that injury. You know, you see it all the time. I mean, I'm glad they banned that. I mean, they banned those collision, you know, you don't see guys with the collision. I mean, if you hear guys from back in the day, Ty Cobb used to stab people with his cleats.
He'd sharpen them. Yep.
I mean, these guys used to play dirty, dirty baseball back in the day. The sports were much dirtier in general back in the day.
Well, Pete Rose is in the news because he's petitioning. He's reaching out to the new commissioner, Rob Manfred, trying to lift his lifetime ban. I'm guessing you're not a fan of that theory?
He deserves a lifetime ban. One, he was also just he was a total POS. He deserves a lifetime ban. He's not a good person. I mean, that's the thing is you have to just take it. What he did was wrong. He bet on baseball. He deserves a lifetime ban. It is what it is. He broke the rules. You know, it's like a murderer. A murderer, you murder someone, odds are you're probably going to jail for life. Okay? When you do that and you go to jail for life, then you can be like, well, you know, he made a mistake. He killed the guy. Well, okay, tough shit. You know, the guy killed someone. He's in jail for the rest of his life. It is what it is. He's not getting his life back. Well, not a mistake.
And a lot of people are saying, though, well, look, with the steroid era, I mean, it's not like things haven't happened, but on the field he did enough to put him in there. Put a big asterisk next to his name, a permanent scar forever, but put him in the Hall of Fame before he dies, and also put a huge asterisk explaining how long he was kicked out for, the punishment he served, the crime that he was accused of, the evidence. I mean, like, really go into it. I'm not saying, like, pretend it didn't happen, but, I mean, on the field, he has the most hits of any player in the history of the game.
He deserves to be in, but he broke the rules.
Well,
it's as simple as that. He broke the rules. He bet on the game of baseball.
Hey, you know
one
what?
thing he was not allowed to do.
Hillary,
and odds are he's probably betting on his own. He's probably betting against his own team.
Listen,
too.
Hillary Clinton's going to be our next president, and she had a private server.
God.
And she had a private server and had hit all of her emails with all of her foreign investor fundraising things to the Clinton Institute.
The last thing I need. It's the last thing I want.
Yeah, I know. I'll second that. But anyway, if politicians are our judge of breaking the rules, I think that's what we have to strive for these days.
Brian, politicians are the most reputable, honest people you'll ever meet.
Wait, are you going to become a sports agent next? That sounds like what you're talking about. No, I don't know.
Obviously, you got my sense of sarcasm.
Yes, yes. Sometimes sarcasm comes through, and I did catch that one this time, thankfully.
See, that's the problem in a text. If I tweeted it out, politicians are the most honest and reputable people you'll ever meet. I just imagine being unfollowed by 50 people and people go, "You're a dumbass."
But so when it comes to Pete Rose, I think he should get into the Hall of Fame. He should have a huge asterisk, and it should just be etched into Cooperstown with his information. Just, he did amazing things on the field.
Here's the thing: you have a bunch of steroid users. Barry Bonds, who owns the home run record, single season and career, will not be in the Hall of Fame
ever.
Odds are no. Does he deserve to be? Yeah. Even the thing is, it's just the time of the game. Are you going to start voting? Is Roger Clemens going to be a Hall of Famer? No. You have to seriously look at this. You have guys right now, Roger Clemens. Look at who we grew up with. The only ones who are going to be Hall of Famers over there are basically Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez. There are not going to be a ton of Hall of Famers from our generation because of the steroid usage. Because you don't know who took him who not. A few years ago, everybody was going, "Oh, I can't wait the day till A-Rod owns the home run record because it'll be a clean record." And he's the biggest scumbag of them all.
I for some reason I have the Albert Bell flexing his muscle, pointing at his bicep. For some reason that jumps into my mind. I was thinking about that.
Roided and corked. I don't know if he roided, but I know he corked. He cheated too. And the thing is, there were all these guys back in the day. Were 340 hitters. You do not see that anymore. It just isn't part of the game. I read it now. I'm reading like the Joni Carrier, Keith Law. I'm reading I'm going to Baseball America. I'm reading the Jim Kalis. I'm reading the top 100 prospects. Oh, future massive power hitter can hit 20 to 30 home runs a year. 20 to 30 home runs a year. We just see that at the All-Star break, like at the end of April. We should see guys people that hit 20 home runs a year.
Who's the guy? I'm drawing a blank. The guy on the Baltimore Orioles, Brady
Anderson.
Brady Anderson. Man, there were so many people that they'd have 30, 35 home runs right out, and you're like, what the heck? Where are these guys?
That was the thing. That was just the air. That was the era back then. But you have to admit, baseball was at its most fun point to ever watch the game. You had America tuning in on a nightly basis. Sammy Sosa, don't forget, had 3 years where he hit above 60 home runs. Didn't lead the league once in home runs.
Go figure.
Think about that.
Who won it? Who led the league in home runs last year? What was it? 40?
I don't know. Bautista maybe. I don't even know. That's the problem. Imagine if we would have had Mike Trout. Everybody's like, "Oh, Mike Trout's the second coming of God," and I'm like, it didn't even compare to the '90s players when you think about it. Yeah, Trout's a great player, but just imagine if he was back in the '90s roared up. He would have been hitting 340 something with 50 bombs a year. That would have been awesome. It's just like I said today. I still love baseball. I do, but it doesn't hold a candle to what the game was in the '90s. Just the superstardom back in the day. I can't. I could still go back there and probably give you the entire 97, 98, 99, 2000 All-Star game. I could probably give you almost every player that played in those games. I cannot for the life of me go out there and even name half the All-Stars nowadays in the game.
Nelson Cruz with 40 home runs last year.
who also roided up the year before.
Jeez, Chris Davis with 53, Miguel Cabrera with 44, 2014, 2013, 2012, Jose Bautista, 2011, 2010, Mark Teixeira, wow, and Carlos Pena, 39, wow. Here, let's scroll back. 37 in 2008, 54, 54 from A-Rod and Ortiz, A-Rod with 48, Manram with 43, back in 03, Alex Rodriguez, for 3 years in a row he led when he was with the Rangers, 47, 57, 52. Albert Bell in 95. Trying to take.
The Indians had multiple years you get 40 home runs a year. It was the best part of the game. There was nothing more fun going to a kid and watch the Indians. I'll never forget. They were down one time. They were down. They were down like 12-2 against Tampa Bay, and they wound up winning. They were like 12-4 against Tampa Bay. And it was the fourth inning, and we were going to leave. And what do you know? They came back. They put up 20 runs, and they won 20-12.
A Cleveland Browns score.
I remember the game. It was in the late '90s, early 2000s. I'll never forget that game though. But they were down they were down 12-4, 12-5, something like that. They were getting killed. And they won 20-12. They put up 20 runs in a game.
I used to love those '90s Indians teams. Those were the best. We had
you
had
could never
tickets
count them out of any game.
Never, even in the ninth inning, especially in the ninth. No, I'm looking here. In 1905, Harry Davis led the league in the
4
American
home
League.
runs.
Eight for the Philadelphia Athletics. 7 Sam Crawford had in 1908. Ty Cobb led the league for the Tigers.
Don't forget where the walls were back then, though.
Yeah, actually, like Municipal Stadium.
500 feet.
Yeah, Municipal Stadium kind of stuff. Ty Cobb led the league in 1909 with 9.
Get into the 20s, get into the 30s, get into the age where Jimmy Fox, Hank Greenberg, when those guys played.
All right, Hank Greenberg.
45, 50 something.
Hank Greenberg in 38 had 58, and then the next year Jimmy Fox had 35.
It's when they started. It's when they started moving in the walls and stuff. When you had Yankee Stadium, when you had
Babe Ruth, 1927 had 60.
That's what I'm saying. When you had, yeah, exactly. You had some great baseball players in that generation. Just nowadays, I don't know what it is anymore. Guys can't hit the ball like that. Also, it's different. There's also more pitchers. Don't forget, when a guy used to be getting crushed, he would stay in the rest of the game usually. Teams didn't have adverse bullpen with 10, 11 guys in their bullpen. They didn't have that. They had guys sitting with 1, 2 guys in their bullpen. And you went out there and you pitched every 3 days. That's why you see guys that had 30-something wins a year. You don't see that anymore. It's just not part of the game.
That's a fair point.
Evolved.
That's a fair point.
It's just what it is.
Yeah, I remember 1998 was probably the most fun year. Sosa with 66 and McGuire with 70. That was my.
It was every day.
In college,
it was on the news. You were hearing about it, and that's what the coolest part. I was in St. Louis after McGuire had hit number 62. I was there when he was in between. I think it was 63 and 66. And I'll never forget. I was in St. Louis. I was there for a wedding over the summer, and we were just walking through the mall, and people are glued to the radio in the mall. And people are like, "Oh, did you hear McGuire? It was a Saturday or Sunday afternoon." McGuire just hit a 66 bomb. I'll never forget hearing that. I'm like, "Wow, 66."
And then Bonds put up 73 in 01.
Yeah, and that was amazing. He was hitting. I mean, you realize it's hitting one almost every other game.
It was incredible. Yeah, I mean, every other game. I mean, 73, that'd be 146. Season's what, 162 games, something like that?
Yeah, it's almost every other game he was hitting a home run in. I mean, it's an incredible feat. And no matter asterisk or not, it was still honestly the most fun time to watch baseball. And I would love to go back and watch that baseball. It was the best part. The steroid era was fun baseball.
It was the best. And then you look over here at 2014, Giancarlo Stanton with 37 on the Marlins. Led the National League last year. 37
home runs.
They're having that at Midway.
He considered a power hitter.
Oh, man. Go figure.
Your first baseman only hit 37 last year. Ooh, time to replace him. That's Paul Sorrento replacing with Tommy.
Paul Sorrento. Hey, I love those teams, man. Even 1 through 9, everybody was putting up 30-some home runs. There was not an easy out.
Vizquel and Lofton weren't hitting home runs, but they were stealing 60, 70 bags a year and batting over 320.
Yeah, they did everything else. They were the guys with the runs.
Honestly, watching Robbie Alomar and Omar Vizquel, the best defensive combination ever I grew up watching.
Very spoiled with that. Very, very spoiled. But no title. No title, hence the unhappy hour.
No, but the thing is, and I will say this about baseball, I'm very excited for it to return. I really am. But I'm also looking for, part of me right now wants the beginning of April to get here so the Indians can start and so the Cavs can just get in the playoffs already.
Yeah, games that matter, and I don't know. I'm still concerned when the Cavs lay an egg.
I'm
like
not
they did
concerned
tonight.
with the Cavs. They just didn't care tonight. And don't forget, like I said, what a difference.
LeBron cares going back to Miami.
I don't think he gave two craps. Miami's not even in the playoffs right now. Well, technically tonight I think they are because Charlotte lost by like 50 points. Charlotte's down by 40 in the early part of the third quarter tonight.
I don't know. Now I don't want to face the Heat in the playoffs for some reason. We can't seem to.
The Cavaliers are still clocked.
All right. And the Cleveland Indians announced their opening day pitcher. Surprise, surprise.
I bet it's the Klubot.
It is the Klubot. Corey Kluber defending his championship. Man, it's going to be exciting. Are you going to be out?
I'm psyched. I will be there for opening day this year. I won't have to go to Florida until a couple days later. So.
Are you going to be out in Los Angeles during baseball season?
I'm sure I will be this summer.
All right.
Sure will.
Take a look at the schedule. See if any of that overlaps when like the Indians are playing the Angels or
I
the
might
Dodgers.
purposely schedule a trip out there during that time. So I will look and see. Might have an accidental trip.
All right. Well, then to be continued. And regarding that Manziel story, we'll talk a little bit more off air about that. Sound like a plan?
All right. Sounds good, Brian.
All right. Well, then I'm trying to figure out when are we going to bring you back in? When do we continue this chat? When are we going to know about March Madness? How insanely busted your bracket is, or how much
we can talk this week. I'll be around all week.
Okay, perfect. Well, then I will let you go for this evening and let the mayhem and the madness begin. Looking forward to the tournament, and make sure you're following Zak on Twitter. He's at Zak Baris. That's ZBARIS. And definitely tweet him and follow what he's up to. But definitely don't tweet without sarcasm. With sarcasm, it doesn't translate, Zak. No political tweets.
That. I'm well aware people don't get sarcasm all the time.
All right, man. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks, buddy.
All right, I'll talk to you later, Brian. Thanks again.
All right, there he goes, everybody. Yes, make sure that you're following him on Twitter. Thanks for sticking with us here through that little technical glitch. And actually, we had 2 technical glitches, but you ride it out. You make it happen. You make it work. And that's what we do here at the New American Media. You do the best that you can today with what you got. That's it. And you go. So, check out our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. On the right, TNAM radio button. That's where you click play to listen live. Underneath that is Facebook and Twitter feeds. You can do a search for The New American Media with spaces in between and like the page on Facebook. And on Twitter, we're at American_media_. So please make sure that you're following us over there. Subscribe, youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Definitely. If you haven't been over and checked out the archives, scroll through all the stuff we've done. I was looking the other day, coming up on 4 years doing this stuff. It's kind of incredible. But we've had quite a few interesting interviews over the years, and some of these things are kind of timeless. So please, if you haven't taken the time to look around and see what we're up to, we don't broadcast every day. We don't have a full team and a full roster of people and a full budget where it's like this is all we do. But over 4 years, it's quite a damn resume. And you'll hear quite a bit of Zak pontificating things sports related, as well as a whole bunch of political and spiritual things, financial things, interesting things, frustrating things. We just cover what sounds interesting. Just like today, I don't know. Got into that dude retiring on the 49ers, got into Pete Rose trying to come back and talk a little baseball. I wasn't anticipating that, but hey, when you're talking sports, you just roll with it. So, for everybody here at the TNAM Radio Network, like I said, my name's Brian Engelman. I appreciate you, I love you, and peace.
You are listening to the New American Media.